The lark in the morning, she rises off her nest. She goes home in the evening with the dew all on her breast. Unlike the jolly ploughboy, she whistles and she sings. She goes home in the evening with the dew all on her wings.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome to the inaugural episode of the Fireside Chat, the official podcast of Club Ballyteague's Legion of Larks. This is a Paul Winters production, and Paul is joined in the studio by his co-director, Ray Cribben. Tonight's show is brought to you in association with our commercial partner, one of Ireland's fastest growing construction companies, Kildare's very own Kelby Developments Limited. Each Kelby home is finished to the highest standards, affording homeowners the luxury of modern living in superb locations. Tonight's guest needs absolutely no introduction to our listeners. A member of Ballyteague's golden generation, winning Junior A and Intermediate championships, as well as playing in a Senior Championship final. He was also a member of Kildare's golden generation, winning an All-Ireland Under-21 medal, an All-Ireland Masters medal, 3 Leinster Under-21 medals, a Leinster Junior medal, a National League Division 2 medal, 3 O'Byrne Cup medals, all in addition to playing in a phenomenal 5 Leinster Senior Championship finals. He is Ballyteague and Kildare's Colossus. He is Joe McTeague. You're very welcome to the Fireside Chat, Joe.
Thank you.
Great to have you. We'll go back to your early years, Joe.
Yeah.
Your dad, Joe Sr., was a very much loved character in the parish of Allen. Can you tell us about him?
Well, he was born and reared in Mayo, in Brafey, and then he come to Kildare, and he met my mother and got married, and then we come.
Brilliant.
And then he was a bricklayer. We worked together for years and years.
That must have been a great experience and a learning curve for you, Joe.
Oh, it was good. It was good, and he was great, and he was very cool and calm, you know.
Excellent.
Liked a few pints.
As you said, your dad left Brafey, County Mayo. He was just 17 years of age to come work on a farm in Allen. It was 1937. Now, the 30s were a very difficult period in Ireland, both economically and politically. So your dad was obviously a very resilient and strong character.
Oh, he was.
Did you inherit those characteristics both as a person and a footballer?
Oh, I did, yeah. He was strong. He was 6'4". And yeah, he was very quiet. And he loved the Gaelic, and he loved to do his work. When he left Mayo, there was nothing in Mayo. He was the last of the family in Mayo. His 2 brothers went to America, and his sister went to England. She was a nurse, and he was at home, 17 years of age. He used to be telling us this at the fire at home, and he'd nothing to eat. Nothing. There was nothing. So he closed the doors and walked up to Kildare. God. He did that, and then there was 15, 20 acres of ground. And because the Land Commission couldn't locate them all, they lost it. It went to his next door neighbour. And he never bothered. You know, a lad would be begrudging this lad. He used to go down to see him, but it never bothered him. He was settled in Kildare, and that was it.
Just shows
you how
happy and a contented man he was in Kildare.
Yeah. Oh, very happy. Very happy.
Your mum, Lily Murphy, came from the Hill of Allen.
That's right.
And to say she was a very quiet, unassuming, beautiful lady, and in many ways the opposite of Joe, who liked a few pints and that. What are your memories of your mum?
Making me go to school. Yeah, she was a very quiet woman, hard-working woman. She always reared a few pigs and a few... I had the cow and a couple of calves, and she looked after them. He got a job in Rowstone. He was driving the digger in Rowstone when the quarry fell in, And after that, he couldn't go back to it. But she looked after things. Then he started on his own. He bought a lorry, a scut truck, not a lorry. And he started selling turf. And he got going from there. Then there was the building, the standing house in the Curragh. So he went up one day and he looked for a job, and he got a job there. So he worked there for 12 months. Then he got me a job there. I started off as hay boy, and then the foreman come down and said to me, "Do you want to serve your time as a carpenter?" So I did. I love that. Well, that's grand. You can start in the morning with another lad to do the tea. So we started from there.
That was a great start for you, Joe.
Yeah, it was a good start. 10 shillings a week.
Excellent. By all accounts, your mum was a great baker.
But she kept it going, yeah. Oh, she kept the bacon going. Yeah. She kept the soup, the rabbits, the cakes. Everything was there on the table that evening.
You missed the apple tarts.
Oh, dear, I missed them terrible. Oh.
You come from a very close-knit family, Joe.
Yeah.
Can you tell our listeners about your brother John and your sisters Mary and Anne?
Yeah, well, my sister Mary and Anne. My sister is married beside me at home. She's married to Mervyn Mullinall. And Mary's married to Dick Flanagan, Johnstown Bridge. They're co-selectors on this all-conquering Camogie side of One All-Ireland. That's right, yeah. And my brother went to England, and he worked in England. He never come back out of England. He had an accident in England, and one day he was getting out of a truck or something. They were coming home, and he fell and he hit his head off the top hat, and he died.
That was an awful tragedy.
An awful tragedy. That was 15 years ago. So there was no one left, only the three of us then. So we're close enough.
You're still close enough, but I'm sure there's still the odd argument.
Oh, there could be, about football and everything else.
Who were your childhood friends growing up in Allen?
Oh, my childhood friends, let's see now. Paddy Moore at Kilmeague, we're always, and Mickey Lyons. Mickey Lyons had an old car, and we used to always go to the pictures in it. His collective of Friday night. Not that you'll have that much money. You'll have enough for the pictures. 6 was into the flay bank, and come out then you'll have another 6 months for a bag of chips. And we're happy with that.
And maybe the odd hug.
Oh yeah, in the dark. But went to Ballyteague then. I played the first year with Alan.
Brilliant.
Played the first year with Alan, and I was doing something with my father, and I wasn't able to go up training. So the first match we were playing in Newbridge, I was first sub. They dropped me. I didn't mind. So the next Sunday we were playing Ellistown.
Yeah.
And I was full back. I was only 16.
Unbelievable. And we'll touch on your football career just a little later. You left school and learned your trade as a carpenter.
That's right.
Was the strength you possessed on the football pitch honed on the building sites?
Oh, what, yeah. Oh, what? Very much so. I remember my mother sent me into the technical school in Newbridge. She wanted me to start at the tech. And I went in and had to walk in, coming in. And coming back out of it. I was walking up the railroad bridge, and this man in a red truck, he stopped and gave me a lift. So he was a clear man. And said, "Where are you going?" "I'm going to Allen." And said, "Would you like to serve your..." I said, "If you serve your time, what would you like to be?" I said, "I'd like to be a mechanic or a carpenter." "Okay," I said, "that's fine. You can start for me in the morning to work as a to serve my time, the rest of my time as a carpenter."
That's an excellent story.
Yeah. And at that time, to get to serve your time as a carpenter.
So that was a short interview process, Joe.
Oh, I was from Newbridge Allen. So he called for me the next day, but the old lady wasn't too happy with it.
Right.
So she, "How do you have the tech?" I was afraid to tell her.
So you had a short-lived secondary education.
Oh, short-lived. And to say, have a job for the morning. What? Did she? I'm going to start my time as a carpenter. There was no chat. No, not.
You've never looked back.
I never looked back.
You married Mary Leahy from Athy, or Lahey, as they say down south.
Yeah.
And you went on to rear a beautiful, beautiful family of 3 girls and 3 boys.
Yeah.
How did you meet Mary?
Where did I meet her? Oh, she was working in Kedane.
Right.
And I met her there. And it was on and off and on and on. So, we got married then. And that time houses were scarce, you know. I rented a house in the Thai. And so I was foreman for Newbridge in the shopping centre for a fella there for a year and a half, 2 years. And I spent more time building my own house than I did for
Brilliant. What one of the perks of the job?
One of the perks. And that started out there. We had the kids then, and that was it.
Excellent. And when you met Mary, were you at the height of your powers as a footballer? Were you well known, or?
Oh, I was the height of my powers.
Brilliant, brilliant. So that would have helped, no doubt.
Oh, helped in the big time.
Brilliant. We'll move on to your football career, Joe, starting at club level. You were part of an excellent St Mary's parish team that won 2 Kildare minor championships as well as
1964.
Yeah, and went on to win a Division 1 league.
Yeah.
Who were the great players of that team?
Well, there were 15 great players in that team. There was great players, and there was you had Patsy Kelly, Jack Kelly, and then you had Dickie Bean, and Paddy Moore, and there was a great strong team. It was a great strong team all around. We played Castleville in the final, and then we beat them, and then actually before we beat Castleville, we played the Army Apprentice School in Ace, and there was a guy playing there from the Army Apprentice School, and he come along a year after. Sean Davey, he was centre field for the Army Apprentice School, and I was centre field for St Mary's. And in 2 years after that, we met Sligo and Croke Park in the league semi-final. Who was full centre field? Only Sean Davey. He was a great footballer. He was 6'4". He was a great footballer.
So you were well reacquainted with Sean and that day.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Is it fair to say that those great minor teams of 64 and 65 backboned the great Ballyteague team of the early 70s?
Oh, they did, yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
You quickly graduated on to the Ballyteague first team, Joe.
That's right. I was after playing with Alan the first year, then I transferred to Ballyteague.
Who were your great heroes in that Ballyteague team? Some of the more established players.
Seamus Nugent was one. He was. I met him in New York. I lived with him in New York after.
Excellent.
And he was the driving point of Ballyteague. And there was another called Noel Leeson, and there was good players. There was Mickey Nugent. There was a lot of good players in it.
You reached a Junior A final in 68, losing out to Ardlock by 2 points.
That's right.
The team were on the receiving end of some controversial decisions by Tony Keogh on the day.
There was, yeah. There was two fouls that he gave against us. There was no foul at all. Excuse me. Ardlock beat by a point. Or 2 points.
You lost out then again in the Junior A final in 71 after 2 great games against Kilcullen. And actually, one of the games, it was the largest attendance of all time.
That's
for
right.
a Kildare Junior A final. What are your memories of those games against Kilcullen?
The first day we played them, it was a draw. It wound up a draw. And then I never forget it because we were doing everything right. And Seamus Nugent was home from America, and Mick Carroll was going out to play with Leash. And we picked him up at his own house and brought him to the airport. And coming back, we parked in Parnell Square. And we were going to the pictures. There was no drink, no nothing. When we come back out, my car was stolen.
So you won't forget that game too easily.
I never forgot that. That was the first game. My car was stolen. And we had to get a taxi from Parnell Square down to Kilmeague. So that was 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock. I never forgot.
I'd say the club were happy with that expenses claim.
Oh. I said all they had was £5.
You made the breakthrough in 1972, hammered Castle Mitchell in that final.
Yeah.
You the Storming game at centre half back, Joe. Everything clicked for the team. 6 forwards scored, with John Jacob accounting for 2-2.
Yeah.
Did you feel that you were on the start of a special journey with Ballyteague?
Oh, I did. Out and out. We felt we had it, and we trained hard. We trained in Allen Hall all through the winter, and then we come along. We played Carberry.
Yeah.
Actually, we played Carberry in the league final before that, and they beat us by a point.
So 72, Ballyteague won the championship. You won the Jack Higgins Cup, and also reached a Leinster Leader Cup final against Carberry, who were county senior champions.
That's right, yeah.
Like, for our listeners, for a Junior A side,
To come that far up the ladder,
like
it was unknown.
it was a remarkable
Oh,
journey.
it was. From a small club, you know. We great footballers, so.
And one of the great features of the 72 side was the half-back line of yourself, Jimmy Swords and Paddy Swords. Now, both Jimmy and Paddy incidentally won Leinster Under-21 medals with Kildare in 1972.
Oh, they did, yeah.
Can you tell us about Jimmy and Paddy, either side of you in the half-back line?
Well, Paddy was a tower strength, and Jimmy was a flyer. He was a flyer, and we kept it at bay. And Paddy Swords was a great footballer, and you know, when you go out, you feel at home with what's around you, and that's the way I felt. I felt very confident and that we're going to do it, you know.
So Junior A championship, Jack Higgins Cup champions, and a Leinster Leader Cup final. That's some phenomenal return for a side.
Wasn't it? And then with great forwards, John Jacob and Mickey Nugent, and there was great forwards there.
Ivers,
Was the
Johnny Gilligan, Mick
Johnny
Thorpe.
Merson, Mickey Tarp, and
Some great sharp shooters there, Joe.
Some great, they were the hitmen.
Under Podmore in 1973, Ballyteague won the Intermediate Championship for the first time in their history, beating a very strong Ratangan team convincingly. Some say it was Joe McTeague's greatest ever game, scoring 4 points from play. You were traditionally a number 2 with Kildare, a number 6 centre half back with the club. How did you find the conversion to the full forward line for that 73 campaign?
Centre half forward, yeah. I was centre half forward for that game, for that year. That too many backs, so they pushed me up. But we had a great strong team that day, yeah. Or for that year.
But to score 4 points from play is it's a great return.
Yeah. Scored 4 points, yeah, it was, yeah.
So that takes us on to 1974, and Ballyteague made it all the way to the senior final, defeating the favourites Clane, great players like Tommy Carew.
Pat Conley.
Yeah, Pat Conley. It took 3 games to get over a St. Wolfston's team.
That's right, yeah.
Backbone by the great Donovan brothers in the semi-final. Do you think, Joe, that those 3 games against Wolfston's in the semi-final took its toll in the team?
Yes.
In the final against Carbery?
I agree with you. We were slightly wore out because it was 3 tough games with Wolfston's, and there were no engine. They were hitting and dumping, hitting everywhere around them, and we were lucky to beat them. We got over in the final run, and then the next one was Carbery.
It was a little bit like 1991 Meath with the 4 games with Dublin.
Yeah.
By the time they got to Down in the final,
yeah,
they were a jaded side.
They were played out.
Yeah.
And so were we. That was a tough year. Man, we're only working lads. We're working, working. I was a carpenter, rest of the for blocklayers and so forth. We're only working lads. That's all we were. And we gave it everything that year.
In the final in 74, you were a point up at half time.
We were, yeah.
Against the star-studded Carbery team.
That's right.
What do you feel went wrong in the second half?
I feel that I was... we were travelling along nicely, and Carbery pushed on a bit, and then we pushed back another bit, and we caught up with them, and I got a penalty. I was fouled in the square, and I got a penalty. Outside, this is it. And I didn't. I wanted to take it, but then the man, Pat Moore on the line said, "No, let Larry Kelly take it." And I knew Crinigan's move because I was rare for him, right to left. I knew. I just said to him, "Go to his left." And he was shaking. I said, "Go to his left." I was standing beside him. I turned me back. And where did he kick it? To his right. Pringles blew his hand and saved it. If we'd have got that, we had won.
You would have known where to put it.
I would, yeah.
You knew Crinigan's move so
well.
Because
I was rare with him. We're at the rare, what was 10 years with him. Actually, at the full back line on the county minor team in 64 was myself, Crinigan was full back, and Patsy Kelly. That was the full back line on the minor team. And after that, Crinigan went into the goals.
Into the goals.
And never come out of it.
And what a good one he was, going on to win an All-Star in
1978. He was a great keeper. Yeah, a grand fella.
But what a journey for a team to go from Junior A champions to intermediate champions to a senior final in the space of 3 years.
That's right. It was a fierce going.
An amazing achievement,
an amazing achievement.
The rest of the 70s, is fair to say, was a barren spell.
It was a lean spell.
On the pitch for Ballyteague after that great run in the early 70s. It is often in times of adversity that great clubmen and administrators emerge. In 78, I think it was the ground was purchased. Who were the great clubmen in Ballyteague during those lean years that sowed the seeds for the next generation?
Well, I tell you, we bought the first pitch, and we had to. There were 7 names to go guarantee for the bank to get the money. So 7 or 8 of us signed our names to go guarantee. So after that, then we were working on it, and then the committee formed. It was a good committee. There was John Ivers there, and Ned Herbert, Tom Keenan, Lord of Mercy, and there was a lot more there,
They were great men that gave so much to the club and to the community, Joe.
They gave everything to it, every night of the week. I remember Tom Keenan, Lord of Mercy, and he was training us. In that time, there was no dressing room. You hung your gear up in the hedge. up in the hedge, and if it rained, well and good. If it didn't rain, you're right, go home, mate. But he was Scotchman, and he was a great. It was a whole family, a family affair.
You've mentioned John Ivers there. Has any single individual given as much to the GAA as John Ivers?
I have to say, he was the only one.
An amazing man.
He gave his heart and he gave his soul. No, he wouldn't know you, I tell you that. Coming in with tickets and tickets and kicking the door, and I thought they were leaving the money for me, and I thought they were doing this, but didn't be back tonight. But he gave his heart and soul.
He dedicated his life to Ballyteague.
His whole life, yeah. I could tell you more if I want.
Lads like yourself and Tommy Herbert were still playing in 1985. You had a lot of younger players coming through like Terry Hyland, Declan Gilligan, Shea Walsh. How important was it for the younger players coming through that you kept playing?
Yeah, well, I'll have to say that man over there, Shea Walsh, he took my place. He replaced me. I gave it up. I couldn't. I wasn't able for anymore. I was heading for 40 years of age. And Shea was only a young fella, and he was drafted in full back. I had to give him a few lectures for how and ever.
But I tell you,
I met a man out of him.
You lectured him well, Joe. But you enjoyed an Indian summer, winning an intermediate B title in 1989.
Oh, I did, yeah.
As well as an All-Ireland Masters in 1990.
Oh, yeah, won the Masters, yeah.
How enjoyable were those victories?
Oh, but I tell you something. Yeah, a lad will say to you, you're going with the Masters. Shit, that's only a kick round. I'm like, you know that if a Monday morning, whether the kick round or not, no, don't go how we. That was tough going. We played Tyrone in the final above Vincent's. That's when John Dowling was chairman, the Leinster Council.
The Leinster Council.
And we were out there lining up, and we knew what was in the back of his mind, back of our mind, over the Leinster finals.
Yeah, just for our listeners, John Dowling is the referee who famously, let's be honest about it, robbed Kildare in the 66 Leinster final.
Oh, John Dowling robbed him. Yeah. He's dead now, Lord of mercy.
In 1991, Ballyteague returned to senior ranks, beating Castle Mitchell in the Intermediate Championship final. Wearing number 7 at left half back that day was Joe McTeague Jr. How proud were you on the day?
Oh, it was great. But sure, I never stopped giving out to him. I was selector. There was a great half back line we had that day. We had that year. There was Joe McTeague Jr., there was Mark Gilligan, and there was John Brennan. There were 3 terrific. I'm not just saying it because Joe was on. There were 3 terrific footballers.
And Ronan Kavanagh, Shea Walsh, good defenders.
High school Shea. He never looked back.
We'll have a look at your amazing inter-county career, Joe.
Oh Lord!
That almost mirrors your amazing club career. 1965 was the birth of the golden generation of Kildare football. It was an amazing year in so many regards for yourself. You made your debut in the 1965 O'Byrne Cup final against Longford.
In Longford.
But the real highlight of the year was the Leinster and All-Ireland success. While the scoreline suggests otherwise, Ollie Crinigan is on record saying that the All-Ireland final against Cork was a tight affair. Would you agree with his assertion?
I would, yeah. It was a tight affair. Yeah.
What was it like to bring an All-Ireland medal back to Ballyteague in the parish of Allen?
It was out of this world. I tell you the truth. There was on the team, there was 22 non-drinkers. 22 guys that never drank. And then we beat Cork in Crow Park. Jack Downey scored 2 goals from midfield. And I was playing on Bath O'Keefe, the TD. And from the start we had the upper hand of it. I never thought I was going to go away from it. There was something telling me. And when the final whistle came, I couldn't believe it, I tell you the truth. We went an 8, and the boys up on a horse's car to celebrate.
Excellent.
So the boys around the town, this horse's car.
Brilliant. It's open deck buses today. Back then it was the horse and cart.
Oh, the horse and car. There was no drink involved, you know. And then the next year, that was 65. The next year was 66. We played Roscommon.
After beating Kerry, an excellent Kerry team, convincingly in the All-Ireland semi-final, was there an element of complacency going in 66, given that the majority of the team that was there in 65 were still eligible in 66?
Yeah.
All the great names of Kildare football.
Oh, bar one or two, that's all.
Yeah.
Full house.
Yeah.
And I don't know what went wrong. Dermot Early, Lord of Mercy, scored the last few minutes, he scored a goal. We were 2 points up. He scored a goal in the best by a pint, maybe 2 points off that.
It was 1 point, and it was you were overwhelming favourites on the day, John.
Oh, yes, we were, yeah.
And a number of star players just didn't perform up front.
Things didn't go right for them.
On the day, but
Our midfield didn't go right.
yeah.
Now, I won't mention any names, but our midfield didn't go right. We were pulling at midfield all the time.
We've mentioned 66 before. An excellent team graduated from the 65 team. We've called it the Golden Generation. Ollie Crinigan, Joe McTeague, Pat Mangan,
Tommy
Carew, Jack Donnelly,
Pat Dunny.
The names still roll off the tongue to this day, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring you forward to the Leinster final that year, and it's regarded by many as one of the near misses in the history of Kildare football. In the semi-final, you had a great game. You kept both Jerry Davey and Brian MacDonald, two great corner forwards from Dublin, scoreless.
John Timmins.
Yeah, John Timmins scored 1-4 that day.
That's
from
right,
full forward.
Yeah.
A massive, big, strong man.
Oh, yes, he was a friend of mine.
Were you confident going into that final against Meath?
We were. We were very confident. And as things wore on, and wore out, wore on, there was very little in it.
Down by 7 points at half time.
Yeah.
Kildare mounted a great comeback, Joe, eventually losing by a point.
That's right, yeah.
It's widely agreed the two shocking decisions by Offaly referee John Dowling cost Kildare the game. Can you tell our listeners about that refereeing performance?
First half, it was grand. We're sailing along. Second half, when we started growing and getting top, he started turning against us. And there was a minute left, or 2 minutes left, and it was a draw match, and Jimmy Cummins had the ball, and he was about 25, 30 yards out, Lord of Mercy on him. He's dead now. But he blew blew the full-time whistle, and we were beaten by a point.
Pa Connolly was the referee decided Pa Connolly shouldn't get a penalty when he was pulled to the ground.
He was pulled to the ground, and he was pulled to the ground twice, and got no penalty.
Jack Donnelly was also the recipient of an adverse refereeing decision.
He was pulled around the field.
And Dowland got a police escort from the ground on the day.
They didn't get him.
But one of the near misses, Joe, and I suppose we'd be touching on a lot of hard luck stories and near breakthroughs. We just didn't quite get over the line. But coming into 66, that team, who were the players you looked up to, the more established players?
Oh, yeah.
There would have been some from the Leinster winning team of 56.
Oh, there would. There was Joe. Well, there was Joe Dyle. There was Mick Carlin. was Pat Conley. There was, who else? Oh, I think it was Mick Coughlin.
And Jimmy Cummins, you would have
Jimmy
mentioned.
Cummins, sorry, yeah. Jimmy Cummins, yeah. Oh, right, God, they were great footballers.
Yeah. We go on to 67, beaten after a replay to an excellent Longford team.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, they went on to win a third Leinster Under-21 medal.
We did, yeah.
That was an amazing achievement.
Oh, it was, yeah. Oh, it was great. That was 65, 66 and 67. We beat Longford in Croke Park.
There are very few players anywhere in any county that have 3 provincial championship medals.
Yeah, and
at Under-21 level.
At Under-21, and in 65 we won a junior Leinster in 65. We played Dublin in Portlaoise. And so that was the junior medal. We coming on to Down. Down come to Newbridge and we beat Down. And then a couple of weeks after we were playing Galway. That time you could play your second best seniors. And they had their senior team that day. Their full senior team. And they beat us.
I'll just give us an indication of how strong Kildare football was at the time.
Oh, they were strong, yeah, very strong, yeah.
Expectations were never any higher than they were in 1968, Joe.
Oh, 68, yeah.
Yeah, after an amazing run to the league final, where you were narrowly beaten by a Down team laden with All-Ireland winning medals.
Oh, they did, yeah. Oh, they had a great team.
What was it like to play against the great Sean O'Neill?
It was great to play Sean O'Neill. I don't know where they went wrong in the line, but Tommy Carew was playing wing half forward, and he was after scoring 1-2, and things start drifting apart. I was playing in John Purdy, and we're friends now. We weren't friends that day, but there was very little in it. Kildare should have won that. They should have won it out.
And that Down team would be widely recognised.
They were at the winners All Ireland.
As one of the greatest teams of all time.
Oh, the greatest.
Paddy Doherty, McCartan.
Yeah, Jim McCartan. Dan McCartan. Yeah. Oh, they had a great team.
That brings us on to that sun-drenched day in Carlow.
Oh,
the ambush against Laois.
It's coming now. I can't remember that.
One of the huge upsets in Kildare football.
I remember that well because I was at the bin. I can't say it out loud now. Well, they're playing down in Croke Park, and I went down on the ball with Paddy Doherty and he gave me a kick. Now, I'm not telling you where. But the last few minutes, and I wound up in the Mater Hospital that evening. So I was in there for 2 days, 3 days, and this guy from New York, he was on holidays, and he was staying in a hotel across the road, and he thought there was someone going to rob him. He leapt out to the top window and broke his 2 legs, and where was he planked? Right beside Joe. And Jesus, the squeals of that lad all night. I was going to knock him out. I'm not on you.
So you had a lot between stolen cars and that episode.
It was an upside down job, but I go back to the lease job. So I wasn't training, and I was in the Mater. Next thing, the doctor said to me, "You can go home, Joe." I said, "How am I going to go home?" That time there was no. So you may get the bus. So I rang Mick Carlin. He came in and picked me up, and brought me home, and we had supper tea at home, and I'll see you Sunday. And I didn't know whether I was on or not after being in the hospital, you know. So I went to the dressing room anyway, walked in. Next thing your man, who told me? I don't know who. Anyway, walked into the dressing room, and I wasn't expecting to be on your number 4. So I wasn't being training the whole week. So you know that, Joe. I was training this. But that's how I went. That was the downfall. Oh, God, then it was bump, bump, goal, goal.
The day the famous Johnny Lawler from Emo scored 3
Johnny
goals.
Johnny Lawler, yeah, and Brian and Gary Lawler. He was playing centre half back. That's the day he hit Kelly a thump on the side of the head. And he was sorry for doing it, I tell you that, because Kelly peeled him.
We go on to 1969, and again, very much a hard luck story. It wasn't a referee this time. It was injuries. Pat Conley was lost to injury on the morning of the game.
Oh, he was,
and
yeah.
between an injury and a switch that was made, Mick Carlin got injured, and the move Pat Mangan from midfield to centre back.
That's right.
And the move Tommy Carew from full forward to midfield. Kildare were leading, and Tommy Carew was destroying Greg Hughes of Offaly.
Oh, yeah.
And between the injury and moving Tommy Carew from full forward, it changed the course of the game, Joe.
Oh, it upset the whole game. Oh, the whole game. Should be. The whole game was upset. The rhythm of the play, just everywhere going around, and lost their head.
Sometimes you see teams that they can win an All-Ireland, and they can be quite lucky that the opposition is not, it's not, let's say, a golden period of football teams. But if you look at that Kildare team, they came up against a brilliant Offaly team in 71, 72.
Oh, they did, yeah.
That went on to win 2 All-Irelands.
Oh, they did, yeah. And they barely scraped over Kildare.
Yeah.
Barely scraped over Kildare.
There was very little between the sides, but tell us about the great Offaly players of that team.
Oh, that great. That was Greg Hughes, Paddy McCormick, Tony McTeague, and then up front to Kevin Kilmurray, and then, what do you call your man? No, they had, that Seamus Darby that time.
Seamus Darby, yeah.
That's right, yeah. And he came on then and he won to All-Ireland. Nice fella, Seamus.
So that was an amazing Offaly team. There's a man known as the Iron Man from Road.
Oh, yeah, that fella, yeah.
Is it true that he was afraid to come down into the Kildare full-back line because of a certain Ballyteague player?
I warned him before the match, don't travel or you're gone. But at that time, he was full forward and he was squeaking at me, and we used to have a drink together and shouting and roaring at him. And that time you could challenge the goalkeeper, and Crinigan caught the ball, and he came out by side with that McCormick went straight in on top of him and buried him in the net. He coming out anyway. I lassoed him with a box between the 2 eyes.
The famous Joe McTeague handshake.
He didn't come back. He went back up full corner back. But
we talk about the great Offaly team of 70, 71.
They were good footballers. Yeah, they were.
They had that mix.
Oh, they had it. Oh, in all fairness, now we had our days of thumping and shouting and roaring and thumping, but we had our days.
In 1974, Kildare won the National League Division 2 title, comprehensively beating Dublin in the final.
That's right.
Had you any inkling in that day, given the fact that Kildare were so dominant over Dublin between 65 and 74, that the Doc, Sean Doherty, would be lifting the Sam a few months later that year?
I still say that I cannot believe it, that we tore them at Sunderland. We tore them at Sunderland in Grove Park, and we bet them by what, 5 points, 4 or 5 points in that league final. I never forget. Mullins come in squealing at me. He come in. I broke his nose.
Brian Mullins, that would go down as probably the hardest player to play the game.
He thought he was. I destroyed him.
That's the way, Joe.
That's the way we had to. That's the way we operated. Don't come back.
And looking at through the records, even 74, 75, when Dublin really became a dominant force and got the upper hand in
Oh, they
Kildare
did,
and beat Kildare very convincingly, let's say, in the 75 Leinster final, which was your last.
That was my last outfit.
You always kept your man either scoreless or to a point.
Oh, yeah.
You had an amazing record against the Dubs.
Oh, yeah. Keep the bow in.
And that was a Dublin team, Joe, that went on to contest 6 All-Irelands.
Yeah.
And won 3 of them.
The 1-3 that year, Tony Hanna was there. He was playing with them as well. Tony Hanna, they had the good players though. The great players.
I remember reading an article from, it was Gaelic Sport, and Mick Carlin was interviewed, and he was asked about how come that great golden generation didn't get over the line. And
Yeah.
some say it was down to refereeing decisions, others say it was managerial decisions, some say it was injuries. Mick just put it down to bad luck.
Yeah.
And a lot like maybe the Mayo team.
Yeah.
Just didn't get over the line.
It just didn't click. They were great up to the day, and on the day then, something horrible go wrong. Dublin gave, that was 74, was it? 75. they were wrong.
Yeah.
Dublin gave them an awful hiding.
Mullen scored 2 goals from the middle of the field
Oh,
in
he
that
did, yeah.
75
He
final.
got his nose fixed up.
Yeah, and he didn't come in close in 75 after what happened to him in 74.
Oh, he's a big, strong man.
He shot from distance.
Oh, he was, and he was a dirty man.
Yeah. Who was the best goalkeeper you played with Kildare?
Ollie.
Best goalkeeper you played with Ballyteague?
Seamus Jacob, yeah, Seamus Jacob.
Very solid keeper.
He was a good old keeper, yeah.
The best defender you played with Kildare?
Seamus Brennan.
Ballyteague?
Yeah.
And who was the best defender you played with Kildare?
The best defender. Oh, it's Carlin.
Great player, Mick
I
Carlin.
have to give it to him, because I have to meet him tomorrow, the next day.
The best midfielder?
Oh, Jack.
Jack Donnelly.
Jack Mangan.
And the best midfielder at club level?
Oh, it's Mangan.
With Ballyteague?
Oh, with Ballyteague. Oh, Paddy Swords moved the midfield.
Yeah. Tommy Herbert.
On
was
Tommy,
great.
yeah. They were 2 big, they were 6'4". They were 2 big men.
The best forward you played with Ballyteague?
Oh, Johnny Jacob.
Best forward you played with Kildare?
Oh, Kevin Kelly.
Excellent. Who was your toughest opponent, Joe?
Oh, John Purdy.
And who was the best player you played against?
Oh, John Purdy was the best player. He was like an eel.
Excellent. We will now take a quick commercial break.
Good, because I bet.
And when we return, we'll be joined in studio by former Ballyteague and Kildare footballer Shea Walsh, who will be reflecting on the career and legacy of the great Joe McTeague. Joe's just going to get a couple of refreshments while we cut to do an advert.
Yeah, walk away.
Club Ballyteague has been established to help finance the strategic development of Ballyteague GA Club and to promote our cultural and educational values. The Supporters Club is delighted to announce Paul Galvin as our new design partner. The award-winning fashion designer and 4-time All-Ireland Senior Medal winner will be designing our bespoke once-off member jackets. For just €5 per month, we are calling on all friends of the club, both at home and abroad, to join the Legion of Larks. Please contact any committee member for further details. As Shea Walsh just makes his way into the studio, Joe, you can tell us about, what are your hobbies today?
My hobbies today. I love football. I still love. I love football still.
You love the football.
My hobbies and shooting. I love shooting. I love going across the outfield with the dog and the gun. I know I'm giving out to you.
Are you as accurate with the gun as you were with the boot?
No, I don't think so.
And I believe you like a little bit of gardening.
Love the garden. Love the old place when I go home in the evening. It's grand. Get away from the old building and that. And it's grand and silent.
And a lovely peace of mind.
Lovely peace of mind. Oh, you sit down there, yeah. You're second to me.
We've put him in the reserve chair, Joe.
Ah, well, I
Hi
scold.
lads. How are you?
I scold him.
You're very welcome to the Fireside Chat, Shay.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks very much.
What are your earliest memories of Joe?
Well, Joe, will we talk about Joe? Where do we start? I've just been on the outside there listening to that first part of the interview, and I kind of feel after that I shouldn't be allowed in here. Never mind that this man's company, but I'll tell you how long Joe played football as far as I'm concerned. You're on about the trilogy there of Wilson's, which was in 74, was it on?
74.
74, 3 games set up. I would have been 8 or 9. Or just my father brought us to the match, and we went 3 Sundays in a row. And I think, Joe, the weather was good that time, was it? It was a real warm days. It was one of them warm patches, wasn't it?
Oh, real
A
hot.
bit like the hot spells we have now.
No, yeah.
I remember being, as young at 8, 9, you'd be running up and down the old grass bank in Newbridge and you'd be watching some of the matches getting exciting. And we couldn't understand every week. Come back and we would have said, who won? Let's go again next week, a draw. And it was one of them games that stuck in my mind for a lot of time. And Joe was playing that time and I was 9. So little did I think that Joe would still be some part of a team when I'd start playing, really getting serious at 17 or 18 or 19. So that just tells you about the longevity of the man,
Shay, you broke onto the Ballyteague first team in 1985. The team reached the county final against Ballymore. Some dub it the Tommy McKenna final. What was it like to tog out with such an iconic figure like Joe McTeague?
Well, it was unbelievable for me, Alan, because, Joe McTeague was, at that stage, I'm not sure why age were you, Joe, at that stage? You were...
I was getting on.
Yeah, you were getting on. We were maybe 37, 38, were you?
Oh, I was, yeah.
Yeah, 37 playing the final. I was maybe 19. I wasn't even 19, say 19 maybe. I'm not sure what the age it was, but the bottom line was, at the end of the day, we were looking, I think we lost that one by a point, was it? Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, lost to Ballymore by a point.
Tommy McKenna had a big day for us that day at the office, and Joe at that stage was, let's call it the twilight of his career, but he could still play football. So I'm just thinking of him there now, as you were talking to him in that interview earlier on, and I was thinking of him imagine beside him at 26 and 7 when he was in his heights of his powers. He must be some footballer. You always can judge a player when he comes into his prime, and if you see a player at a certain age when he's, as lads say, well, he's gone over the top and he's still decent. What's he like imagine playing against when he was in his prime? I don't know. I can't put words in that one.
Have you any stories to tell us about Joe?
Well, the first time I started playing with Joe was, I suppose, 39. I was probably about 18 or 19. We played a match in Rattangan. It was the Conlon Cup they ran that time. It's like all the good tournaments, the Herbert Cup, the Conlon Cup you had, the Herbert Cup and the Conlon Cup. The Conlon Cup that time was decent. It was ran in January or February, and we played, could have been Rattangan or somebody, I don't know who it was. It was a Sunday morning early match, February. Cold as day you get, the usual story. And I made my first start, and Joe was full back, and Joe doesn't even remember this now. I know, he's laughing at me here, he doesn't even remember this. But game started anyway, and of course, your very first day out in the seniors, you want to try and do something, but first ball, a few balls came in anyway. But I was playing a lad, I'd say probably seasoned football, he was 26, I'd say, one of them lads. But, one of these lads had thrown his way around straight away, and he clipped me after about 5 minutes. And of course, it was a wake-up reality playing lads your own age and playing a lad, getting the belt of a lad at 25 or 6. And I don't know who was managed at the time, and Joe let her roar. Joe was a bit like a general in looking back, and he says, "Switch, I'll take him." And it was a bit like that. So I done what I was told, I didn't even look at the manager. I said, whatever Joe says, I'll do. So I did. So the next ball came in was a cross ball, and the way they put the angle ball in, and your man went out. Of course, he didn't really recognise that Joe had moved on to him. But Joe met him anyway, and the rest was history. Joe clipped him. He was quiet for the rest of the match, let's say. He went for the ball, and he was looking all around him, but he was nil effective then. So that's the first introduction I had with senior football,
And what a great man to have beside you.
Yeah.
Sure. Where could you go wrong?
I schooled you well.
He did school me well.
Shay, have you any questions for Joe?
Yeah, I'd ask Joe a few questions. Be honest, when you've read out all them things he's been involved in and everything else, I only knew quarter Joe McTeague. Obviously, you do the research in this show and I don't. That's the difference, isn't it, really? But Joe probably, had a long career with both club and county and club. And I would ask Joe one thing. The change in football now, Joe. What do you see the difference in the change in football?
It's not football. I don't like it at all. I don't like the sharp passing.
You don't like the 15 behind the ball shot, no?
I just said it about Kildare, the Raider. It's like, we were in Croke Park and we had 12 lads back.
Yeah.
And Dublin were kicking pints.
Yeah.
At the reeds. The first time they were playing a practice match.
Yeah.
And then our lads get the ball,
Yeah.
they kick it into the
Yeah.
goalkeeper. It's, to me, I
It's
don't.
a different parish, isn't it?
It's a different way of life, and I don't. It's not the players. It's a man that was over them. He had the 12 lads back.
The second thing that strikes me a lot about Joe's time was Joe was a builder, as everybody knows, and a good one, I might add. But I don't know how many blocks on a good day would you lay, Joe?
300 or 400.
When you were in your prime.
300 or 400.
So-
Might be too neat.
You done the last one.
Was that a euro block, Joe?
Oh, yeah.
But I suppose, Joe, at the end of it, let's say you cleaned the mixer away, you went on to play football. And you probably had a league match that night, or you probably worked. Did you work before an inter-county match on Saturday or Sunday, or did you take it easy before a game on Sunday?
I worked Saturday.
You worked Saturday before a game Sunday in Croke Park, would you?
Yeah. I worked. I often fell in on a roof there Saturday morning.
Well, there you go, lads.
And I mightn't stay too long. Might be 1:30, 2 o'clock.
So anybody that has experience of working on any kind of a building site, doing any kind of labour, and it's heavy going, and I tell you, you clock out at 6 o'clock and play a match at 7 o'clock and see how you feel.
Oh, yeah, I tell you.
So I always think of lads like Joe McTeague and people like that, if they had the modern training today, what would it have been like?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, isn't it, Alan?
It's probably a sad aspect of the modern game that if you look at the profiles of all the inter-county footballers, they're mostly sales reps, students,
Today.
or teachers.
No, today, yeah.
Brian McGilligan was probably the last great builder.
Yeah.
Brian from Dungiven, the Derry team there in the early
That's
90s.
right, yeah.
There's very few blocklayers, carpenters.
There's none.
I don't think there's any playing the game, Joe.
There's teachers, solicitors, guards, bankmen. That's all there is. There's no labouring men anymore. Insurance details and...
And do you think that's a reason why the physicality has gone from the game?
They're going to be soft.
You referred to there in the conversation, Joe, about playing football in America with Seamus Nugent.
Oh, playing for Sligo, yeah.
Can you tell us about that experience?
Oh, that was a wonderful experience. You could do what you like, you never be put off. The pitch was so small. He was centre back, I was full back. And who was centre forward? Oh, Pat Cummins from Carberry. He was centre half forward. Trinity was in the goals. They used to bring us out for the weekend.
Yeah. Big money, Joe.
Oh, $100. That was £40 that time. Yeah. That was a week's wages. When you were working here, it was £40 was a week's wages, But we went on. That was going on for 2 or 3 years. I was 1.5 years, 2 years myself. And then we used to go back out for the weekends. And we'd be in Dublin Saturday morning. Saturday, pick up the tickets. Mick Carrollin had the tickets arranged. He was our chief. And we'd head on then Saturday, head out to New York. Saturday, it was hard going. And on to Gaelic Park on Sunday, right? Play your match. And back to Kennedy Airport Sunday night. Back home Monday morning. And back to work Tuesday.
Yes, Joe, you're an international traveller, let's call it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that ways in the airport, they used to salute us going in.
And you would have got to know a lot of inter-county players from other counties.
Oh, yeah. On our team, there was Mickey Cairns. Mickey Cairns.
Great Sligo player.
Oh, great player. And Sean Davey, that's the man who played with Kildare. He was the county minor. And then Barnes Murphy. Oh, there was a great lad. Oh, there was John Purdy.
Super team.
Oh, super team. You'd be lucky to get your place in it, couldn't you?
So, great experiences there, Joe.
Oh, it was great. In New York, it was great. Oh, it was great. There was stuff going. If you got thumped, you get up and you keep going. You don't look around you. There was no going to the lane or anything like that, or looking for an ambulance.
It was Joe McTeague rules.
Oh, everyone's rules.
You started off, Joe, as a teetotaler in 1965.
Did? 64.
You started to drink somewhere along the line.
I did.
Who was responsible for that?
We were down in Kerry. We're playing Kerry in Tralee. And the third year, semi-final. And I was playing away, and then I got an elbow, a lad broke my tooth. And so Kerry beat us that time in the final, and semi-final. So coming back in the train, there was myself, Pat Mangan, Quinn Egan, the usual core, we all stuck together. Jack didn't drink. Jack discussed it. And I said, I'll have a bottle of stout. And I never drank in my life. I had this bottle of stout. Lord God Almighty, I'm not.
What age were you at that time, Joe?
I was
21.
21 or so, yeah.
You were time enough, Joe, starting.
I made up for it.
You never stopped since, huh?
Well, that was one remarkable story, Joe McTeague. There is no one, including those corner forwards who are on the receiving end of your legendary handshakes or clips, that could deny you your rightful place amongst the pantheon of Kildare GAA greats. Thanks for joining us on the Fireside Chat, Joe.
Thank you again, and thanks for having me.
And a big thank you to all our listeners, to Kelby Developments Limited, a world of understated modern luxury, to Paul Winters Productions, our director Ray Cribben, our incomparable host Marie Gilligan, our co-presenter Shay Walsh. Until the next time, let the header blaze.
The lark in the morning, she rises off her nest. She goes home in the evening with the dew all on her breast. Unlike the jolly ploughboy, she whistles and she sings. She goes home in the evening with the dew all on her wings. Oh, Roger the ploughboy, he is a dashing blade. He goes whistling and singing through yonder green glade. He met with pretty Susan, she's handsome, I declare. She's far more enticing than the birds all in the air.